Alrighty, so this is just a quick update video on version 5.0 for input overlay. I'm not gonna bore you too much, but I just want to show off some things so you know I'm still working on this. I have not dropped it. It's just taking longer. So yeah, this is the config creation tool, and I'm just gonna start it up so you can see it. And this is the current state of it. I mean, the basic stuff is done. I just have to connect it with OBS Studio and add some new element types and support them correctly. But enough of that, let's just see what it's capable of right now. When you start it up, it's going to look more or less like this. These two text boxes will be empty. They are filled right now because for debugging, I want to have them filled instead of just always adding the file paths here manually. So you just select this one, you either copy paste it in or you drag and drop. I just did here. Same thing here. Your destination config file. You can also open one. So if it exists, it'll load it. If not, it will create it. Right now it won't, it's broken, but I'll fix it. Element width and height. You should type something in there. It'll help you visually. It'll draw like lines. So I'm just gonna do 512 now for let's do 128. It's just to show you what I mean. Languages are also supported, different ones, but I do not speak anything other than German and English, so if anyone wants to contribute translations, I'll gladly appreciate it. But right now those are the two. This one's just for testing the non-Roman letters. Okay, so we click OK. So now you see the lines are drawn exactly at 128 instead of at 100 and 200. So if you specify your buttons are 128, then you can align them to these lines. There'll later be also visual aids to help you if you want to offset the buttons like I did with the WASD layout. Other than that, that's more or less it. You have this tool window which you can drag around if it's in your way. There's some quick information on how to use it. Save config, modify a selected element. There's none right in here right now, so we can't do that. Delete selected and add a new. So let's add a new element. We then get to choose which type. These are all supported types. Static texture is self-explanatory. It'll just be a plain image or part of your texture, and you can position it and it won't do anything. Button, as it states here, all these types of buttons: keyboard, gamepad, and mouse. Mouse buttons are all buttons except the scroll wheel. Also except the scroll wheel push down. I will include this all in mouse wheel, in the mouse wheel type here. That's it. No fancy G keys or whatever your mouse might support, because that is way beyond this the functionality of this plugin, because I have absolutely no idea how they work. But yeah, mouse movement, you already saw that it's already in the current version. Gamepad analog stick, you know, the sticks that you can move around. Gamepad trigger, those are the shoulder buttons, which you can, you know, the triggers, right? You can use them, you can press them halfway down, or they are different than normal buttons because their state is not set as pressed and unpressed, but rather in number. So depending on how hard you press it down, it'll have a different number. So you can have this displayed in the overlay as a progress. Yeah. So if you press it halfway down, the progress bar will be filled halfway, more or less like that. Text, also self-explanatory. It's just going to display text, but it'll also be able to display information. So one thing I had requested was how many times you pressed a certain button. For example, how many times you pressed specifically the mouse key, the mouse button, the left mouse button, or something like that. It's very specific, but someone wanted it, so I'll add that. And then that's that. And then lastly, we have the gamepad, specifically the D-pad, which is technically doable using just buttons, because the D-pad is split up in 4 buttons, up, down, left, and right, and they're all individual buttons with different key codes. But this way you can display these different buttons in an arcade style. So it's like this arcade joystick, if you ever seen like an actual arcade. This will be more or less like it. So if you press up on your gamepad, the joystick will then display the up texture. If you press left texture, if you press left and up at the same time, it will be in the upper left corner. If you press nothing, it'll be in the middle, in the 0 position, or whatever you want to call it. So we're gonna just do a static texture first, because only buttons and static textures are supported right now. Click OK. And now, since we set 128 as default, it already set the selection. So I'm just gonna try and increase the size of this window for you as well. OBS is not in the center. I think it's big enough. So we just take this selection and we move it to the. Okay. You can move the selection with the arrow keys. So you can see here, if you zoom in close, that the first pixel is actually empty. So we have to do it like this. Now let's move down a little bit and don't get out of the window. So the same goes for here. Let's just zoom out a little bit. Okay. And the cursors are not working right now, but you can drag these. So let's select the entire body. Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, we got that one, and now let's drag this one. There we go. So now we selected the entire body, which is a static texture. Give it a name. So you technically don't really have to give them any specific name, but they have to be unique. So this is the gamepad body. No spaces either, by the way. That's it. Click OK, and here it is. So okay, that one's broken. It shouldn't be there. This is just the body now. Let's add a new element in the button, and now let's select the A key. Nope, that's not. Oh, that's actually, damn it, I'm dumb. It's actually down here. That's where the pressed keys are. I actually don't remember which size I gave them. 94. Okay, that's a random number, but whatever. 94 by 94. You have to select the unpressed version, by the way. So that's gamepad A, and now the key code. It has a checkbox here. So record keybind means you can press anything on your keyboard and it'll convert it to the proper code. So you don't have to remember them. You can also type them in if you want, like if you actually know them by heart. I do not know them by heart. And the same goes for the gamepad. You just plug it in. It'll also tell you whether or not that worked up here. So now let's press the A key and press OK. So now we have it here. The layering is a little bit dumb. You can see I cannot select that. And you can see now, you can hear it also. I'm pressing the A key. So now with this overlay, you have to, with this texture, you have to align them. It shouldn't be too hard. I think that's more or less it. Did I get it? No, not entirely. Okay, that's dumb. I'll add some way to select elements that are below other elements, but hey, we're not done yet here. Okay, so align it properly. Now I'm confused. I think that's more or less it, right? That should be it. Whatever. And now if you zoom out, you already got one key working, and that only took like, what, 5 minutes? Wow, that is a lot faster than typing it out. And that's the whole idea of it. So yeah, then you save it, and then you tell OBS about it. And that's it.